Hello, everyone. This is Old School from WhatTheBuck.net with our recap of the Browns' victory this week. The Buccaneers opened the season with a victory at home in front of about 47 people, actually 47,000, but that's still light. Many of the local fans were pretty pissed off about it being blacked out, especially the folks that were inside the blackout radius, to whom all I can say is get off your ass and go to the game. I know that the economy is tough, but if you're that frustrated, then go to the game. Cheap tickets could be found. If not, then stop griping about it and expecting someone else to go to the game, thereby achieving what the NFL requires to lift the blackout, and stop relying on the owners to do it for you. But more important than that belly aching is that we are undefeated. We have 33% of the total wins that we had last year after Game 1. We are going to be facing the Carolina Panthers next week, who look imminently beatable. One of the quotes that I want to use in here, and I'm not trying to get literary on anyone, but quote, "All you need in this life is ignorance and confidence, and then success is sure." Mark Twain said that. And what's interesting about a young team is if you've got that confidence, however it gets developed, through success or through people putting it into you, and you have ignorance, and in this sense, I think what Mark Twain meant, and this is literary interpretation, is not stupidity, but ignorance. You don't know any better, but then to go out there and use that confidence, then good things can happen. It speaks to the street capabilities of a team. And what you saw was a team that played poorly in the first half, had a great play by Rondé Barber, veteran player. Under pressure, Jake Delhomme did exactly what Jake Delhomme does, just like we said before the game he would do. And he threw the pick. We got in there, got the score. That's a huge turnaround. And even though the Browns came out after the half and amassed a nice drive down there, another good stick on Hillis gets us the turnover. And then the game really changed. Now, what got exciting for me about that is as the game continued to sort of go back and forth and we forced 5 3-and-outs in a row, this new revamped Tampa 2.1 defense by Coach Morris with some adjustments to go to more 3-man fronts to try and generate pressure because our 4-man fronts sure as heck weren't doing that. What we saw was the maturation of that side of the ball. I don't think that the offense is there yet through either their staff, their personnel, or where they happen to be in the developmental curve, or the coordinator, if you're like me and are not a fan of Greg Olson. But what we saw is on defense, Raheem started to get some confidence in what his guys could do on the field, putting them in positions to make plays. You saw young guys like Brian Price and Roy Miller and Gerald McCoy, Tim Crowder really splashing on defense. You saw E.J. Biggers stepping up huge, filling in for Aqib Talib, making some great plays and serving notice that he is someone to be reckoned with. We saw on the flip side, right, this wasn't a world-beating performance. Don't get me wrong. This isn't about Kool-Aid. This is about a win is a win. And I found it very ironic in the game and after the game and on the message boards that Tampa Bay fans, despite getting this win, which was such a rarity last year, have done nothing but bellyache about the win. Oh, it was against the Browns, who everyone in the world predicted would beat us, right? Oh, well, we still played like crap. We got lucky. We got the interception. And it became this sort of myriad of excuses about how we got the win. Everything that happens between the beginning and the end of the game counts. The coaches of the other team count. They had every opportunity, just like we did, to get the job done. And despite our best efforts to give it away with the Ernest Graham fumble, the play-action pass for a sack, we still got the job done. And that's got to be exciting for Bucs fans who've gone through some pretty tough years here recently, though nothing compared to what us old Bucs fans have dealt with in the past. Right? So when I look at this, I look at a couple of important things. One, our offensive line does not look good. Now, I know Cadillac ended up with like 77 yards, and he had 38 or 40 yards that were disallowed because of penalties that were questionable. That doesn't really matter. The blocking was not consistently good. There were not consistently opportunities for Cadillac to get yards. He ran his ass off to get those yards, right? We didn't see the opportunity to shuttle in other backs. We didn't see any sort of opportunities to develop a running game to control the clock. Now, we did end up winning the time of possession battle, I think 32-27 or somewhere around there. And we ran 61 plays on offense just like the Browns did. But for this team to excel in offense with all of the youth that they do have, which has been aptly pointed out by all of the pundits, we've got to be able to take out some of the variables, and you do that by establishing a strong running game. And if you're not going to do that, and you're running a primarily West Coast offense, then you have to do it by using the short routes, either the bubble screens or the legit, the normal screen passes, the drag routes, which we did a poor job of using as well. The only time those seemed to be successful is when Josh was checking down to them in 3rd and 10, throwing a 2-yard dump off. Now, some of that could have been timing caused by Josh's absence due to his thumb. He was playing with a still dinged-up thumb, and I thought Josh did generally very well. What was impressive to me was two things, and Rich Gannon said this on the broadcast. He shakes off problems. When he missed Mike Williams on the corner route, who was wide open and should have had a touchdown, he immediately comes back and throws a strike, a beautiful ball to Spurlock in the back of the end zone. That short-term memory is something that Jake Delhomme doesn't have. Once Jake starts to fall down that path, it's all over. And you know it is as soon as the first brick falls. And Josh doesn't have that, and that's great. That's great. He also has a great ability to sort of move in the pocket and create some time. Sadly, he has to do that constantly because our offensive line isn't giving him a tremendous amount of time. Now, what seemed to be the case this week, where there were options down the middle of the field, open receivers in the middle to longer distance routes, but he was checking down too quickly, and that could have just been apprehension, nervousness, etc. The interception he threw, I don't think it really had to do with the thumb, just a bad throw. He still has a tendency not to step into his passes, which is going to cause the ball to sail on you. But overall, I think that he's coming along well, even with the injury. I think that the coaching staff going in and making those adjustments at half was a huge difference from last year. Last year, we'd go in at half, maybe be holding our own, at least putting out the effort, and we come in and the other team would absolutely wipe up the field with us. And that's just it was horrible last year, and it was turned around yesterday, which is tremendous on the defense side of the ball. We did get some pressure in those three-man fronts, and that can't be lost. We played the field position battle. I know there's a lot of debate right now about whether we should have gone for it on 4th and 1, which I thought was a bad spot anyway. I stand beside that decision. I would make that same decision now with the way the defense was playing and the way the Browns' offense was playing. I don't like the play call. I don't like play action there. I don't care if they were open. I think at some point you have to make simple football simple football. You either trust those 5 horses you've got on the front line or you don't. And if you don't, then you need to tolerate them until you can replace them. We clearly don't trust them. We don't trust them for 1 yard at the 2, which is pathetic. And the one we did try and replace, which we mentioned in the offseason, I know some people gave Joe from Joe Bucs fans some crap for this. Kedrick Vincent, the road grader, isn't being much of a road grader. And he's the liability we thought he would be in pass protection. So now they're talking about platooning the left guard. So we've really got to get to the drawing board. Coach Manjurian's got to get to the drawing board and do some work on that offensive line to establish themselves as a line that can create lanes for their running backs and to really provide Josh some time to throw the ball. Statistically, people are saying, well, we got beat. The better team didn't win the game. There's only one stat that really matters at the end of the day, and that's the final score. We won the game. We did enough to win. We did less bad things to lose. And when you're a young team that's trying to find some sort of an identity, that's what you got to do. So I'm excited. 1-0 feels great. It feels a hell of a lot better than 0-1. Looking forward to this week with the Panthers. Hopefully you guys like the videos. As far as the keys to the game this week, we talked about the running game. I don't think we established that. That gave us a red. We wanted to test the young and inexperienced Browns secondary. I don't think we tested them very well. Josh certainly did hit some passes later in the game, which was good. He ended up with like an 88 QB rating, which is better than Jake's, but not the kind of passing game we would like to see moving forward. And last but not least, we wanted to force Jake to beat us, which we did, and he didn't. Last note about the defense. We talked about it in training camp. We talked about it in preseason. We've got some guys that are really instinctual, that were getting to the point of the play and then not making the play. We saw Geno Hayes. We saw Tenard Jackson. We saw these guys getting there and making the play this week, which was a huge difference. And that's going to be one of those things that really solidifies what this new Tampa 2.1 defense is about. That's not to get Tenard Jackson off the hook or Sean Jones for what was really bad safety play this week. The post play for the touchdown was absolutely inexcusable. At the very least, we should have been able to deplete Massaquoi. At the most, a real pick. So things to improve: offensive line, safeties, which is amazing that I'm saying that, and pressure out of our four-man sets. So hopefully this week against the Panthers we'll be able to turn those things around. We'll do a preview video a little bit later in the week.